Huh? Sign of humility. Questions are a sign of humility. What else? Huh? Yeah. Questions are keys that unlock doors. Questions are hinges. Answers are easy because questions have answers attached to them. You can write that down. Answers are easy. Answers are easy. Come over here and see who's behind the pole. Answers are easy. The question is, are you asking the right question? Every question has an answer, so the answers come attached. The problem is not answers, having enough answers. The problem is not even the right answer. The problem is, are you asking the right question? You could ask the question, why am I not rich? The answer could be because you're poor. There you go. Well, there you go. Right? Because you don't have money. Okay? You know? There's an answer. There's two answers. Because you're poor. You don't have money. Does that help you? Did that help you? You got two answers to why you're not rich. Did that help you at all? No, it didn't. Well, hopefully. So I have a statement that I say is wisdom. Wisdom is 5 questions deep. Wisdom is 5 questions deep. One thing, most of us don't pause long enough in life to even ask a question. We're living our life on assumption, and we're living our life on instinct. We're living our life on reflex. We're living our life just on a reaction of a default that is subconscious in our life. We're not even conscious, so we're not even asking, generally, in most cases, we're not even asking the first question. And typically the first question is going to be wrong. The first question is not going to get you anywhere. The first question is going to lead you to a dead end. Why am I not rich? Because you're poor. Well, that was a dead end. Let me go down, okay. Why am I poor? Because I don't have money. Well, okay, that was a dead end. What do I do with then you start asking, well, how do I make money? Now, you could ask a question, how do I get money? There's a million ways to get money. Do you want to get money? Rob a bank. You can get some money. Does that mean it's wisdom? Huh? There's an answer. There's your answer. You understand? And this is how most of us live our life with everything. Literally, with everything. with our health, with our family, with our recovery, with our spiritual life, our intellectual life, with all of it. We just like, well, that's how it is. We just take it for how it is. Because really, can I be honest with you? Most people are just burning time. Most people want to get to the end of the day where they can return to bed or the dinner table or in front of the TV. So what, you're just going to burn 8 hours? Come on. Time, if you haven't written this one down, time is the great equalizer. Time is the great equalizer. The rich man has no more time than the poor man. The black man has no more time than the white man. The female has no more time than the male. Time levels the playing field. So, let's go back to the question, why am I not rich? We already answered a few things. Well, because you're poor, because you don't have money. Well, let me ask another question. What do they say about money? They say time is money. Am I spending any time making money? Well, yeah, I go to my job. Are you maximizing your time on your job? Are you the most productive person there? Because generally the most productive people get promoted. They make more money. Why? Because their time is more valuable to the manufacturer, to the producer, than someone else who isn't. And people are willing to pay. You know that most people are trading time for money. It's called a job. So we go, I want a job, I want a job. Okay. What are you saying when you say I want a job? I want to trade my time for money. So you could ask the question, how can I maximize my time? What can I do with my spare time? Do you have a side hustle? Or are you just trying to get through the day, do as little as possible to return to the dinner table, the couch, and the bed?
Should the question also be, are you working at your job? Because
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there.
can be a comfort zone. Remember, some jobs, if it's a job a person loves and likes, of course they're going to be in their own comfort zone. Like, for example, if you work at McDonald's and the manager don't mind, and that's your comfort zone because that's the place you get free food, of course you're going to want to go to your job because all you're going to be doing there, you're not even going to be working.
Right.
You're just going to be eating whatever, chicken nuggets,
Right.
fries.
That's right. So then you got to ask the question, is this job, is this work challenging me? Can this man who signs the front of my check some people sign fronts of checks and some people sign backs of checks. You might want to ask the question, how do I get to be the guy who signs the back of the check or the front of the check instead of the back of the check? That's a good question. And you'll have to go 5 questions deep to get the wisdom on that. Because you can just complain about why do they have this, that, or the other thing. Doesn't matter. I can tell you this, they're doing something different with their time. They're doing something different with their time. And if you think you want to be the owner of the business, be prepared. You're not going to be home at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock at the dinner table with your feet propped up, sitting in the couch, and then going to bed at, whenever. You're not going to be out, If you see that, what you're watching is, you're watching the highlight film. We see a businessman, or we even see a talented football player or whatever. All you're watching is the highlight reel. The highlight reel is about 90 seconds. Of a game that was played over 3 hours with many coaches and strategy, and prior to that, a week's worth of practice, and prior to that, it was pee-wee football, junior high football, high school football, college football, 2-a-days, running, lifting, squatting, pressing, running, lifting, squatting, pressing, with no one. Oh, now he has his 90-second highlight. Man, I wish I could be like him. Do you? You might ask, what's it take to be like him? What's it take to be the guy who signs the front of the check? Well, for one thing, you have to be responsible for 40 people, or how many ever employees. In most cases, most workers don't even barely want to be responsible for them. Oh, it ain't my fault. It wasn't on me. Don't look at me. I'm only doing what everybody else is doing. I'm only doing what he said. Oh. Well, I mean, you want to be the man. You want to sign the fronts of checks. You got to be concerned about what everybody's doing. You got to seek out the high performers. And then you have to be one step ahead of them. You got to, you go to bed thinking about questions and coming up with solutions at 5 a.m. Well, the store's not open until 9. I've been thinking about this for 4 hours. But the little cashier who comes in 10 minutes late, you can tell she ain't thinking about nothing that's going on. She ain't thinking about something. She's wondering, oh, I woke up late. Do I have enough time to get my McDonald's biscuit before I get to where? How late will I be if I stop and get this biscuit? That's the size of her world. So, you gotta ask questions. And wisdom is 5 questions deep. And back to being wealthy. Truly wealthy people, I say this all the time, you will never be wealthy working a job. Never. I don't care what your job is, you'll never get wealthy working your job. Never. A job is someone who's trading their time to somebody else for money. And it has a limit on it. It has a limit. It doesn't matter if you're a brain surgeon or a lawyer or whatever. You can charge $300 an hour. My daughter works for retired judges who do litigation outside of court, mediation. I think they charge $300 to $400 an hour. What? You still won't get wealthy doing that. You can have a good lifestyle. So how do you get wealthy? Is there a difference between being well off and wealthy? Yeah. Lawyers, these people that have high paying jobs. That's what a lawyer is. He has a high paying job. Even we could say an electrician or an engineer, they have high paying jobs. Where they create generational wealth, you can write that down, because there's probably very few people are become wealthy on their own. I mean, a lot of people have some level of generational wealth. Now, when I say generational wealth, I'm not talking about, you don't even have to be truly rich to have generational wealth. You could have generational wealth if your grandma and your grandpa stayed together, your mother and your father stayed together. Why? It's a known fact that two-parent homes are wealthier. Two family homes, parent homes that are working together, two people working together for one common good is better than a fractured and fragmented home. So you as a child, even if you see that modeled in front of you, a woman who works with her husband to build and follows his lead, and a husband who cares and tends to the needs of the family and puts that first and is building for his family, that's generational. Those children are going to have an advantage. Now, it doesn't mean that you're screwed if you don't have that. I'm just saying you have an advantage moving forward. Why? Because now I have two people that are contributing to my birthday fund, two people that are contributing to possibly a college fund. I had two parents, they didn't have enough money to put me through college, but I had the wisdom, I had a level of support. You understand what I'm saying? I had a father who could co-sign on my first loan, which was a '69 Firebird. But I'm old. It wasn't that old when I had it. It was about 15 years old. That'd be like somebody bragging, my first car was a 2007 Toyota. My first car was a '69. My first, like I got a loan for. It's just a $2,500. It was a personal loan, but my father, to help me get credit established, co-signed on that loan. He was a refinery worker. He just was a factory worker. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. But you had family that was willing to work with family. I was raised, so back then, that oil refinery would hire 18 to 25-year-olds for the summer if they were going to college. They would hire the factory workers' children for the summer and pay them $10 an hour, which like $10 an hour back then was like double what minimum wage was. So like if minimum wage is, now is $12 an hour, it would have been like getting $24 an hour for the summer to weed eat and just do mostly just lawn work and little things like that. And I knew I didn't want to go to college, but I wanted to get that job. So at 18, I submitted for the summer to get that job, and I applied to a college and, got accepted, or at least said I was applying and everything, did what I had to do, and I got hired. Well, they would only hire I had a sister, but their policy was we only hire one person. We're not, if there's 3 kids, we ain't hiring all 3 of your kids because we're going to hire somebody else from another family, right? Now, and again, I'm talking about generational wealth, and I'm talking about, okay, so, but see how I was raised to know right from wrong. Well, my sister was in college. She was going to her 2nd year of college. So for me, I got hired, and I was like, in the back of my mind, and I didn't necessarily tell my parents, I'm not going to college, but I knew I wasn't going to go. I had already was going to go to welding school or whatever, and do whatever. But my sister was going to college, but they chose me. So and you want to talk about the highlight film, you want to talk also about sowing in tears and reaping in joy. You want to talk about what goes into being successful and behind the scenes. It's more about oftentimes it's more about what you're walking away from. Sometimes you don't know what you're walking towards, but you can figure out what you need to walk away from. That has as much to do with your destiny. So there's a saying in martial arts, because the first thing they teach you in martial arts, of which I know nothing about, except I like quotes. So one of Bruce Lee's quotes, which he actually didn't. It's not his quote. I forget who he quoted it from. Might have been Sun Tzu, the Art of War. Hey Siri, who wrote The Art of War? Sun Tzu something? Huh? Sun Tzu. Where are my glasses? I don't get this right. Anyways, Bruce Lee took it from him. Be water. Be water. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Be flexible. Be fluid. Be adaptable. Be malleable. Be cooperative. Be clean. Be refreshing. But one thing they teach you in martial arts, first thing they teach you in martial arts is not to fight. It's not the first lesson. The first lesson in martial arts is to walk away from a fight. Walk away. Fighting is never your first option. Fighting is always the last option. So the first lesson they teach you is always walk away. If at all possible, walk away. So it doesn't matter what, you do not know the outcome when you get into a fight. I don't care how bad you think you are. There are unknown variables. And there are things in the future you can't see. Like those 10 cousins around the corner that are ready to stomp you. Oh, you got this one. I don't know about his 10 cousins. So the first lesson in martial arts is to walk away. So they have a saying, write this down. What you can't walk away from is your master. So you're studying to be a master, martial artist. You're studying to be this master, the dojo master, whatever. But if you can't, if there's something in your life you can't walk away from, then that's your master. I don't know where I was headed with that, but okay, so I was back to the refinery story. You thought I left you at the refinery. I got this great job at 18 years of age. Was essentially lying about going to college, right? Kind of like EBT cards are given to people who are hungry and who need, and if they don't have it, they'll go hungry without it. That's the principle behind it. But we got all kind of people who aren't hungry, that are overweight and don't need it. But we take it. Oh, I qualify. Yeah, I qualify. Now, I got another point behind this, and some of you heard my testimony on that. But let's go back to the young man at 18 who got this $24 an hour job and generational wealth. See, again, my parents couldn't afford to send me to school, but my father, because of the company he worked at, this was made available to me. But because of the way I was raised by these two parents, I gave that job to my sister. I don't even know what I did for the summer. I probably worked for $5 an hour. Because she was in college and she was going back the following year. And I could have kept it. And my parents wouldn't have said anything either. But see, I have a history of walking away from money, from stuff. So there was a time when, now fast forward, I'm late 20s. I have 2 children, a baby. Now I'm working in a factory. And my wife is a E3. She's just a private, eligible to become an E4, which is the first step on the way to becoming a sergeant. So we're not making any money. And I'm getting WIC for my kids, and we qualified, and we were using it, the peanut butter, the whatever you get with WIC, the milk and all that. But then there came a point where, now I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a car that had less than 200,000 miles and that was newer than 15 years old. Still driving a hand-me-down from my parents, who gave me their old Buick that burn oil and everything. And paying my tithe at church. But she's just an E3 about, in the Army, and I'm a painter's helper. That's what I was, making painter helper money. But you know what? My kids weren't going to starve if they didn't get WIC. I could have rearranged my budget enough to buy peanut butter and milk and everything that but I qualified because we were poor. But you know what? I'm not going to have a poverty mindset. You know, when they hand out those checks and that EBT card and everything, there's only one condition on you getting it, is you got to stay poor. You can have it next month, just next month be poor. And the month after that, be poor. And the month after that, just keep being poor and we'll keep giving you a check. So at some point, you got to change your mentality and say, you know what, at some point I don't want to be poor and I don't want this. Because if I keep taking this, then that only means one thing. That I'm in a system of poverty. So I drove the check back. I walked away from the check. Even though I qualified for it, I drove it back to social services. Said, you know, go ahead and take our name off of this. We don't need this anymore. Why? Listen, you're either going to believe what the Word of God says or you're not. Either God shall supply all my needs according to His riches and glory. Either He's the glory and the lifter of your head. Either you've never seen the righteous forsaken nor a seed out begging for bread. You know, give us this. Either you pray the prayer, give us this day our daily bread, and you believe it, or that He's the provider of that, or you don't. Or the government is. Start praying to Uncle Sam for your daily bread. Because that's who we're putting our faith in. I ain't putting my faith in Uncle Sam. Drove it back. Take me off the list. Walked away from it. You know what? They sent it again the next month. Next month, drove it back. Take my name off the list. Took about 3 to 4 months. I had to drive that check back and give it back to them and tell them to take my name off the list. Couldn't you have bought a cell phone or cable? We didn't have cable. Could have had cable. If I would have spent the money that I was spending on milk and peanut butter and everything like that, I could have taken the check and then taken the money I was spending on milk and peanut butter and cereal and bought cable with it. Paid a cell phone bill with it. But I didn't. Didn't have a cell phone. Didn't have cable. Wow, what are you willing to walk away from? Your destiny will be determined by what you're willing to walk away from, oftentimes more than, sometimes, like I said, you don't even know what you're walking towards. So I have a history of walking away from things that I don't want to be in my future. I don't want poverty in my future. So at some point I have to figure out how to disengage myself from a poverty system. At some point I have to study and become wise on how not just to work a job, but how do I make money? How do I sign the fronts of checks? So back to the lawyers and the doctors who get paid a lot of money they trade their time for dollars, but they don't get wealthy from that. They get wealthy from taking their excess income, because they are high earners, And they take that and they invest in the stock market. They invest in real estate. I know some doctors who've bought a lot of land and they plant timber on their land and they get a tax write-off for having timber on their land. And then at some point they're going to cut, after 20 years, they're going to cut all the timber and they're probably going to make $1 million. And that'll go into their grandkids' college fund. You know, and their children are going to build a house on that land. So now their children don't have to pay for a house and everything. They don't have to pay for the land. Why? Because their father, who was a lawyer, invested in 250 acres of farmland, planted trees on it, and 25 years later cuts the timber. And you understand what I'm saying? This is this idea of, I'm going to go out here and get rich overnight, or that's unrealistic. You want to become wealthy? Study the habits of wealthy people. There's a book out there that's already done it for you. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. There's millionaires. Well, I mean, millionaire now is nothing. I mean, millionaires. Now you need to have 10 million to be probably the equivalent of $1 million when that book was written. They do updates all the time. They edit it because it's a lot of statistics and stuff like that in it. But they say most millionaires, you wouldn't even know them. They're not out here driving the Bugattis and the Ferraris. They're driving the Buick Century and the Ford, truck. And they're not even they're not the $70,000 Ford trucks. They're the Ford truck that's about 15 years old, and they wear jeans. And why? Because they know how to make money.
It's in the Bible, generational wealth. I was reading Exodus and Numbers. So 2 years after they're freed from Egypt, God instructs Moses to give each family this parcel of land to get this out for your generations.
Yeah. Generations. Yeah. And so again, there's ways you can be the one who break. We'll veer off on this. Let me make a statement about generational curses. How many have heard about generational curses? All right, generational curses aren't magic sprinkled. Someone did a hex and a voodoo and abracadabra, alakazam. Now you're poor, just as poor as I am, or whatever. That's not, now you're cursed. No. Generational curse is not having someone, a parent, to teach you wisdom, and instead they model foolishness. I've told you, more is caught than taught. Children are learning, like I say, I don't care, you can dip around the corner and act like, I don't want my kids to see, that, don't be doing that in the house. Trust me, they know what you're doing. They know what you're doing. And children have one thought in their head: when I get big, I want to do that. That's the loop that's running through every child's head. Wow, when I get big, I want to tie my shoe. Wow, when I get big, I want to feed myself. Wow, when I get big, I hope I don't poop my pants. Wow, I'm just telling you, this is a constant thing that is a child. Wow, when I get big, when I get big, when I get big. And who is the big persons in their life modeling life for them? So they're looking, and it doesn't matter how depraved, doesn't matter how addicted, doesn't matter how ignorant or how great the model, the person setting the example in front of them, they're looking and going, wow, I want to be able to do that when I get big. Let's go back to the welfare system. One of the worst days. Okay, we'll talk about generational curse. And here's how it's taught. And you don't even know it. One of the worst days is today, December 1st, right? December 1st. Guess what? Everybody's welfare checks coming. Everybody's EBT card is getting filled up again, and it's the worst day of the month for little kids. But you know why? Because they're thinking they know what day it is. It don't take 7 years. It don't even take 7 years. So a 7-year-old knows. First of the month rolls around. Woo! Woo! We're going to go to the store. I'm getting Fruity Pebbles. Mama's going to send me down to the corner store, get me out of her hair. Just say, go down, get you some of this. Just leave me alone. We getting Mountain Dews. We getting Twinkies. We getting all this stuff. Woo! At 4 years old, they know that. 5 years old. 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. Now 100 months have gone by, and they're waiting with anticipation. We rich. We're going to get something. We're getting it. We're getting it. We're getting it. All right. And you know what the whole time they're thinking? Man, I can't wait till I'm 18 and I can get me one of them. You poor thing. No one told you you had to be poor. You had to stay poor from 4 years old to 18 for the next 16 years to get one of those. And then when you're 18, you can sign up and you can keep getting it. All you got to do is stay poor. But it's a happy day. It's a happy day. It's the first of the month. That's a generational curse. There ain't no one sitting them down telling them any different. Why? Because they're catching it. More is caught than taught. They ain't teaching that in school. They're not teaching you how to manage your money. I took a box of food. I got a phone call from social services or somebody. Took a box of food. I think it was a grandmother called and said her daughter was going through dialysis or something like that and was like in the hospital for 2 weeks, and she had the grandbabies and they didn't have no food because, in the hospital and we can't get around and we can't, this, that, and the other thing. And I got these little grandbabies staying with me and everything. Can you please bring a box of food, or please bring us some food? So we fix up a box of food. I go over here. It's Dunlop Street. And go to the address. There's 3 grown adult men. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sitting on the front porch. Hey, is this so-and-so's house? Like, yeah. So-and-so here? Yeah. It's inside. You can go on in. Take the box of food in. It's upstairs, downstairs. 2 little babies in diapers. Snot, crusty face, no shirts on. Running around, 2 years old, 3 years old, about that age. Downstairs, just kind of free roaming the downstairs. I'm like, hey, I'm from the got some food here for the ministry. It's like, you hear this voice upstairs. An old lady, yeah, hey, come on up. Stairs here, you know. It's grandma. I'm like, oh, well, let me go, you know, meet this woman and, you know, make sure, you know, hey, how you doing, whatever. And in a bathrobe, inebriated, so much so you could see where you, like the upstairs was basically just a bedroom or whatever, and she's there in the bedroom, like kind of sitting on the edge of the bed. Whiskey bottle, you could see where it was thrown across the room and just, you know, splattered. Whiskey bottle broken there, and she's still half intoxicated. I said, hey, brought you the box of food for you and your grandbabies. Walked out of there. And I'm like, those kids are cursed. Those little babies are cursed.
That will also make me ask, Pastor, next to being the first of the month, because key word is December, do you think certain holidays of the month can also make it worse? Like, for example, December, you got Christmas and New Year's, November, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
April, Easter, and then if it's because of children, it's when the birthdays come.
Yeah.
Kind of listen to what you're saying, Bert. The child's expected. It's the
Expected.
first of the month, and
Yeah.
it's Christmas.
Yeah.
They're expecting
Yeah.
everything to see
So, sir,
something under the tree, but then when they question nothing's under that tree,
yeah.
they're looking at mommy and daddy like,
So, you know, and again, it's not that somebody is cursing. No one is speaking words over those children. Well, let me take that. They probably are. Statistically, you would say is they probably are. Get your little effing whatever, you know what I'm saying, over here, and you blah blah blah. Shut your blankety blank mouth and all that. But if that was never, even if that was never said over them, what they're seeing, what is just being modeled in front of them, that's their normal. You understand? Like, again, they're on a loop. Well, I hope one day when I get big, I can sit out on the front porch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and do nothing. Instead of being shoved in a corner, go in here, go in here, go in here. I want to be out there with the big people on the porch. No, you don't. You want to be at a job at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't want to be an able-bodied person sitting on a porch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But they don't know that. They just want to be with the big people. Why can't I go upstairs? You understand? Whatever, if you tell a child not to do something, it doesn't matter how much you tell them not to do it, that's probably going to be the thing they want to do, especially if you're doing the thing that you're telling them not to do.
and it's worse when you tell your child, I can do it because I'm grown. And then this is a question, because you were asking that question. I had this in mind when you spoke about that. You know that the new saying that parents be saying, I didn't raise you that way. Do you think the tables are being turned on them? Because it's like back when your child was young, you told your child, I'm grown, I do what I want. When you're 18 or 20 or 30, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Now we're at that time, now the new thing is saying to your child, your adult knowledge is, I didn't raise you that way. So
Listen, most of us were raised that way.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. But almost all of us were raised the way we are. Just, you know, hey, I love my parents, but they raised me to be a certain way. And if you see flaws in me, and if you see, or if I have limitations, if I have low self-esteem, if I have whatever it is I have, it was put on me by the people that were within arm's reach of me of the time I was 0 to 15 years of age. It was put on me. It was modeled. It was an example to me. And you could say, no, my mama raised me right. I'm just telling you, no, there were factors going on in your family somewhere around the fringes. You were looking, maybe you did have a mother who raised you right, but then you didn't have a father, and you were like, or you had a bigger brother who was, that you looked up to, or someone, or a question in your mind like, I don't want to follow after the God of my mama. I don't necessarily know who my daddy is, but I hear tell he's a player. He's out here. He's whatever. I don't know. Or you had someone within arm's reach of you who touched you, who messed with you, who put trauma on you. And in most cases, it's family. They have your DNA. It ain't some outsider. It ain't the man. It ain't, someone on TV. It's not some politician. It's not some political group. It's not another, even a whole culture of some whatever other race. It ain't that. We were raised the way we were raised. Our perpetrators and the people who shaped us lived in our community, usually in our house, or at least visited our house frequently. And so that's where the curse is. The curse is caught and not taught. And so, one of the things, the questions of wisdom is, and why you go 5 questions deep, is a lot of times it's like pulling on this string. I got to unravel this. This whole thing, my life didn't go in a straight line. It's now this ball that has knots in it. It would have been nice. Like if I stretched this thing out, I really might have been somewhere. Because I got 250, well, let's do it in years. You could say, I got 35, 40 years of life length of life, okay? Length of life, we'll say it like that. I got 35, 40 years length of life. So imagine that as a length. But then it's like, why do I only have nothing more? Why emotionally and intellectually or even materially or relationally, why do I don't have anything more than I had when I was 16 or 18 or 20? Why is that? Because that length of life just got all knotted up. It went into a ball. It's just started going round and round and round and round and round at some time. The length of life wasn't stretched out. It didn't have a purpose. It didn't go anywhere. So the question is just like how you unknot something, is like, do I take this back through here and then go under here and then, there's another 10 feet I can use. And what do you got to do to get that thing untangled? You got to kind of go back through, figure out. You got to start asking, well, where did that knot get? Because that just took like 5 years. That was like a 5-year knot. That's profound. Did I just say 5-year KNOT? knot or 5-year NOT? 5 years for knot, 10 years for knot, 15 years for knot, nothing. But you put length of life into that knot. You got about 1 year of wisdom or 1 year of stuff or 1 year of length out of 10 year of input. Right? So how are you going to get that back? You got to unknot it. You got to ask the question, where did it get tied up? Because if I don't ask that question, then it's going to happen again. So there's 3 questions you ask. Every leader asks. The first thing that you should lead is you should lead yourself. Before you lead others, you need to learn to lead yourself. So there's 3 questions. I've said this before. You've heard it said that experience is the best teacher, and I say that's not true. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of experience, and they're just as foolish as they ever were. There's a lot of people. How many have experience with drugs and alcohol? Lots of it. Are you wise? Now you're wise here today, sitting here right now. Today you're wise, but if I would have asked you 6 months ago, you would have been just stuck in your experience with zero wisdom. Still not learning nothing. Year after year after year. So experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is the best teacher. And here's the thing, most people don't evaluate. We probably know the answer. I need to stop. I need to quit. This isn't healthy. This isn't whatever. But we don't even evaluate. We just going. We're just going to keep on getting experience. And it's just going to keep being a bad experience. So there's 3 questions you ask. What was supposed to happen? Or what did I want to happen? Because hopefully you're making choices, and if you have a bad experience, hopefully that's not the experience that you wanted. Hopefully that was a mistake, and we all make mistakes. We all have bad experiences. We all wished a different outcome, a different thing, but then we have to say, I was talking to a girl once. She was all heartbroken. Back in the day, before I was married, I was the nice guy. Girls like to talk to, they wanted me for a friend. They didn't want me so I had like these pretty girls that would always just want to, come and talk to me and unload their problem. Like, why? And I'm like, I was interested in them, but they only liked me as a friend. So they're just telling me their problem. This one girl, it's like, she was heartbroken, comes all heartbroken. I can't believe he cheated on me and everything. We've been going, it was going so good, and then I find out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, who is this guy? And that guy that's, that time he's like 25 years older than you. Where'd you meet him? Oh, we met in the club. Oh, yeah, he's married, but okay, so you met in a club. He was cheating on his wife with you. Now he's found another side girl that he's cheating on you with, and this comes as a surprise to you, apparently. You have not evaluated, like, what did you think? What was supposed to happen in your mind? But he has a job. Wow! He's got a job. You know what they're doing in court now? You know, I sit in court a lot of times, and I have to, it always seems like we're the last to get called, so I get to see all of the. Now the thing is, you go get you one of those fluorescent vests and a pair of work boots, a little hard hat. Hey, I've seen this happen. you show, look, don't come to Regenesis and get some suit and tie that don't match, and we can tell, that judge can tell you never wear a suit in your life. Except for when you go up in his courtroom. You got khakis and the belts all cinched and they're puckered in the front because they're like 5 sizes too big. And your shoes aren't polished, and we can tell that was a thrift store suit. You better off. I'm telling you now. I'm giving you. You're better off now. Go mug you some road worker when he's on lunch break. Snatch his vest and his hard hat. Then all you need is a pair of boots to complete the ensemble. Go up in there, Your Honor, I have a job. Oh, where is this job? Well, don't ask too many questions about my job, but you can tell I'm ready to go to work. It looks like I have a job. This guy was up there in his fluorescent vest, and the judge starts asking questions about his job. He didn't have a job, but he looked like he had a job. But the job is the solution to everything. You know, at times I go in jail. If I just found me a good woman, when I get my driver's license, all I need is an apartment. When I get this, I just need to get this and get that. And I go into jail, and I got 50 people sitting in front of me, and hey, how many of you have had your driver's license before? All the hands go up. How many of you had thought you found the right woman? Hands go up. How many of you have had a job before? All hands go up. I said, well, here we are. I guess that wasn't your answer, because here we are. But you're still going to sit here and think that that's the answer. But you had it, but here you are. So that ain't it. So experience should tell you something. If you evaluate it, I had that. I don't have it now. That wasn't the secret to my happiness. Sometimes a driver's license, all that does is give you more freedom. So I came in here with the intent to teach you one thing. We never got to it. But having more choices, because I teach you, write this down for you new folks. Voices, choices. Anybody know this? Voices, choices, actions, habits, routines, lifestyle. Voices, choices, action, habit, routines, lifestyle, purpose, destiny. Voices, choices, actions, habits, routines, lifestyle, purpose, and destiny. Most people stop at lifestyle because they want a certain lifestyle. But I know a lot of people that are living a certain lifestyle, and if you still ask them what's your purpose, they wouldn't know. They don't know. But they live a good life. They have a nice lifestyle, but they don't have purpose. They'll go to their grave not knowing, I had a great bank account, I had a nice home, I had a couple great kids, but why did God put you on earth? I don't know. I thought it was to have children. Well, heathens have children. If you have kids, you better be a good dad. Being a good dad is not a purpose from God. Anybody that has a kid should be a good mom. That's not purpose. Anybody that has a kid should be a good dad. That's not your purpose. God didn't call you to be a dad. You hooked up with a woman and you became a dad. Heathens can do that. Okay? Why did God put air in your lungs? How is it different from other people? You have a purpose. But most people stop at lifestyle. Most people are going for lifestyle. Lifestyles of the rich and famous. That's where we want to get to. We think that's, and most of those people, you'd speak to them, they're depressed, they're on prescription meds, their kids are jacked up, they're angry at them, they're dysfunctional, all this stuff. They don't have purpose.
Is that the same with ministry? Because I've been hearing some pastors that do be saying that there are some Christians that come to earth that don't know their purpose too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about.
It's like go to church, they say, like,
Going to church ain't your purpose. Again, heathens go to church. They better. It's where they should go. So, voices, choices, actions, habits, routines, lifestyle. I was actually going to talk on choices. Most people think you want to get to where you have options, you have more choices in life. But when you really get down to it, and it's a principle of God that I gave all my choices to God. Now all I do is obey. Now all I do is follow His instructions. Now all I do is walk in what He preordained me. I don't have choice. Listen, if this was really being taught in church, you wouldn't be like, oh, go to the church of your choice. Nuh-uh. If you believe that your steps are preordained by God, you go to the choice God tells you to go to. And you don't leave until He tells you to leave. You don't get upset because, I don't like his style. I don't like the music they play. I don't like this. I don't like that. It doesn't matter. You don't have a choice in the matter. Why? My life is not my own. I made one choice, and that's to serve God. So really, listen, going back to walking away from things, you understand what you want to do is create. So voices, choices, actions, habits, and routines. You want to create such habits and such routines that eliminate options. You understand when you have certain habits, it eliminates certain options. You no longer have certain choices because you've chosen these habits, and now these habits have eliminated your option of driving. You have a bad habit of speeding. You have a bad habit of drinking and driving. You have a bad, you understand, you have a bad habit of not paying your bills, get a bad credit report. Now you don't have the option of getting credit cards anymore. You don't have the option of getting things on credit. But listen, that's not a bad thing. Highly functional, highly successful people live their life in a way where they don't have options. Why? They've made certain choices, and so it eliminates. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook rich guy, you know what he wears every day? You know his standard dress is a black t-shirt or a gray hoodie and black pair of pants. That's it. Every day. Go into his closet. Why? You know, asked him, why is this what why do I never see you? And he's like, I don't have to think about it. I have a $1 billion company to run. You think I want to stand there for 15 minutes? Oh, what should I wear today? I got so many choices. Do you understand? Highly successful people make their life so tight and so focused, right? They have chosen ahead of time not to even be presented with options. My wife and I were talking about going to the Trans-Siberian vampire conference. No. Rom-com. No, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert. And I said, no, I know if I go there, I'm going to see this fantastic light show. It's supposed to be one of the best light shows ever, laser light show and everything like that. And I said, I know that's just going to get my juices flowing. You know, I don't go to the mall. You know why I don't go to the mall? Because every time I go in there, I want all that stuff that's in there. Yeah, I want the, ooh, man, those are some sweet shoes. Foot Lockers, God. $300. I don't need that. I don't need to even be thinking about these options. Why? So another way of saying options, you could say temptation. And wise people eliminate temptations. Options most times are just distractions and temptations. And highly successful people have figured this out. I don't want the temptation. I don't want the option. Why? I know where I'm headed. I know what I got to do, and I don't have time for that. So I've made my circle of friends very small. Oh man, that's rude. I want everybody to love me. I want to be accepted by everybody. Great. You're going to be tempted by everybody. You're going to be hanging around a bunch of knuckleheads. And you're going to be tempted, and you're going to be like, man, that was fun, man. You know how much fun we had last week? What'd you do, man? Man, I'll tell you what, we just all loaded up in the boat, about 8 of us. We just got wasted, man. Let me tell you the girls we hooked up with and this, that. And I'm going to sit there going, whew. You might want to go there next weekend. An option. Maybe, do I need to clear my weekend, man? You missed it. No. But you know what? If I don't even hear that, I ain't putting myself in that. Do you understand? I don't have an option. I go to church on Sunday. I ain't leaving my calendar open going, well, I don't know. I could go here, I could go there. I don't even have an option of what church I'm. Well, of course, I'm the preacher, the pastor. I better show up. But do you understand what I'm saying? Well, I just go to the church. I wake up and I go wherever I feel. Stupid. I don't. I have a destiny, a purpose. I'm following the voice of the Lord. I'm not you understand, we become very random. The secret to success is consistency. The secret to having yourself on a 90-second highlight reel is the boring consistency of everyday routine. Those guys have a 90-second because they have made choice. They have listened to coaches, listened to voices, only certain ones. They're not listening to everybody. They ain't listening to their friend and go, man, just stay home. I don't know why you did that. I'm just telling you, ain't no Heisman Trophy winner or whatever listening to his other fellow players on the team, because most of them aren't going where he's going. Most of them are not his caliber. Most of them are not getting going to be in the first round of the draft. He's listening to high caliber people. He's listening to the elite. Those are the only voices he's allowing in his life. And he's out there earlier. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, I don't care who they are. They pay, like, you don't get any better than Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods in his prime was the best of the best of the best. A Tom Brady, whatever. You know what all of those guys do? All those top guys do? They freaking spend of their salary, they'll pay $300,000 to someone. Now that's a sweet salary. That's $30,000 a month. They'll pay someone $30,000 a month to analyze their game. Analyze their game. Why would you analyze their game? They're the best. This guy ain't the best. The analyst is not better than Tiger Woods, but they will pay someone $300,000 to analyze their game, to coach them, to be the voice of excellence in their life. So voices lead to choices. You do not want more choices. You want to actually begin to live your life where you're walking away from so many things. Now you have no choice. Because I know myself, if I'm given the choice, the more options I have, the greater the odds are I'll get it wrong. Right? I mean, on a test, right? If you just give me true or false, I at least got a 50-50 chance. Give me A, B, C, and D, and I didn't study for any of them out. Now my chances are down to 25%. There's a 75% chance I'm going to get it wrong. More options. Just give me more options. We'll be down to 10%. Give me 10 options. Now it's only a 10% chance I'm going to get it right. Come on, but you know what I'm saying? A lot of us, we think, oh, success is having more options. Now I can do this. Now I can do that. Can I tell you it's dangerous? And I'm not just saying it's dangerous for people that have addiction or coming out of addiction or whatever. It's dangerous for human beings, period. We're all the same. Give us more options. That's just more chances to get it wrong. So wise men have predetermined ahead of time, I'm going to create an environment and a surrounding that keeps certain options even away from me. I'm not going to even let it in my ear gate, in my eye gate. I'm not going to let it even come to me. Lead me not into temptation. We could say it this way. Right? Isn't that the prayer? Lead me not into temptation. How about this? Lead me not into many options. A temptation is just something you think you could do and think that it would be good and think you could get away with it and think it would be fun. It's an option. No, it's a temptation. And we're to pray, lead me not into temptation. All right. God bless you. Love you guys.